My name is Jeff.
Hello, I'm Hot Toddy, and welcome to an all-new episode of Get Real. This time we're back in the Hot Toddy media room talking about the film that's confusing everybody right now, Christopher Nolan's Tenet. And yeah, it's the most confusing film you'll ever watch. In fact, here is my review. What? But no, in all seriousness, the movie is really awesome. It's action-packed from beginning to end. You're on the edge of your seat. You're not sure what you're on the edge of your seat for, but you are, in fact, on the edge of your seat. Now, to explain the film, which is kind of what I do in these episodes, it's almost impossible to do. So much so that I had to do some printing. I had to do some printing out of synopsises, if you will, on the film, just to get a basic understanding. Here, right now, is the basic understanding of Tenet. A secret agent embarks on a dangerous time-bending mission to prevent the start of World War III. Alright, that sounds pretty basic, right? It's a time-traveling film that helps stop a war. You think maybe, okay, Back to the Future type thing. They're going to get in a time machine and they're going to go back and stop the events of whatever started World War III. Or maybe like a Terminator thing. Guy comes from the future and has to stop World War III or whatever. It's nothing like that. It's like a weird combination of both and then its own thing, and this is why it's the most confusing film of not just the year, but maybe of all time. But before we get into the synopsis and why it's so confusing, let's talk about the film itself. It's a Christopher Nolan film, and the movie is gorgeous. I mean, the whole thing, from beginning to end, like I said, it's action-packed. It keeps your interest. You're on the edge of your seat. But it's like I said, you don't know why you're on the edge of your seat. You have really no idea what's going on, but it's beautifully shot. Chris Nolan knows what his fans want, and he executes it somehow. I don't know. But by the way, please ignore this if you're seeing this. I don't have herpes. I've been stressed out lately because I've been doing a lot. The Smoking Hot Toddcast is back. We're doing Smells Like 90s Rock and everything, and now we're doing an episode of Get Real. So I've been under some stress, and when I get stressed, I tend to get zits in weird places like my lips. So it looks like I'm a dirty boy, but I'm really not. Back to the film. But yeah, Chris Nolan, he knows what his fans want, and he puts it together in a really interesting and action-packed way. But sometimes you're left being a little confused. I think the best example of that is Inception, which came out in 2010. Very great film. I enjoyed it. But here's the thing. Even though it was confusing, it was easier to understand than Tenet, okay? Here is the synopsis for Inception. Dom Cobb, who's played by Leonardo DiCaprio, is a thief with the rare ability to enter people's dreams and steal their secrets from their subconscious. His skill has made him a hot commodity in the world of corporate espionage, but has also cost him everything he loves. Cobb gets a chance at redemption when he is offered a seemingly impossible task. Plan an idea in someone's mind. If he succeeds, it will be the perfect crime, but a dangerous enemy anticipates Cobb's every move. Okay, so, that doesn't give a whole lot away for the film, but it does explain that he is a dude that goes into people's dreams, and he is able to steal secrets and do this, that, and the other thing. And what you've learned sort of from the synopsis, and definitely when you watch the movie, is the fact that he has done this so much that you don't know if he's in reality or if he's in a dream. And spoiler alert, if you've ever seen the film, you know it ends on that cliffhanger. Was he, because it looks like he's gone back to his family. He gets departed from his family, he never sees them again, but at the end of the movie, he gets reunited with them, but you don't know if this is just another dream or if it's real life. So that's what makes that movie interesting and easier to follow. In Tenet, that's not the case in this film. That's so much not the case that I have here a giant synopsis, about 7 pages long. We're not going to go through all of them, but this kind of explains what the movie is about. By the way, this is from Nate Jones from Vulture.com. Thank you to him. He writes, "There are 2 things that don't get explained until later in the film, but are worth covering up top. The first is that this whole movie takes place in a world where the future has declared war on the present because it's upset about climate change." And that right there actually explained more than, to me just then, what the entire film did. Like, I didn't even know that. That did not come through in the film. And I think you would agree if you watch the film, if you haven't already. that does not come through. So, okay, well, that clears things up a little bit. To do so, it uses a technology called inversion, by which objects and people can travel backward in the flow of time by reversing their entropy. Look, I have a college degree, but sometimes it's hard to read words. Leave me alone. This means that time travel in this movie works according to a closed loop theory. Closed loop theory. I.e., everything that has happened in the past has already happened. So think Primer or Harry Potter and the Prisoner of Azkaban, that makes more sense because, you know, they have to go back in time where they can stop things from happening, but it's already happened. I think that's just the definition of the past, but okay, whatever. But yeah, so John David Washington, who's Denzel Washington's son and is brilliant in this film. We'll get more into that in a bit. He's a CIA agent looking for a MacGuffin, which a MacGuffin, by the way, is sort of a movie review term. It's the thing that everybody's going after in the film, MacGuffin. During a false flag terror attack at the Kiev Opera, in the chaos, his life is saved by a mysterious figure in black who kills a henchman with a bullet that travels backward. But Washington's cover is blown and he's captured by the baddies. He takes a cyanide pill to avoid giving up his secrets, except the suicide pill is actually a test, and Washington wakes up on a boat where his boss explains that his new mission is to join something called Tenet. Then the CIA puts Washington inside a windmill. Oh, the reason he has to live in this windmill is to get his present self out of the way so his future self can operate freely during this part of the timeline. Okay, so that makes more sense because there's a time when he's in there, and so okay, so it gives his future self time to come out and do things. Okay, I'm still kind of lost, but after getting his lats nice and strong, oh, he was doing pull-ups and stuff. Washington leaves the windmill and meets Clements Poesy. He's tasked with delivering some equally magical exposition. The bullet Washington encountered at the opera is just one of many inverted objects that scientists have discovered traveling backward through time. People going forward in time can interact with them, but it's weird. To pick an inverted object up, you have to imagine yourself dropping it. Don't think it, feel it, says this character. This is the movie's mission statement. Okay, so that gives you kind of an idea of what's going on here. Sort of. But yeah, that's basically it. I mean, that's basically the plot of the film, is that there's this thing called inversion, and inversion is time travel. But it's something from the future that hasn't been invented yet, but people in the past know about it, and people from the future have given them the technology, and so they know about inversion.
Oh no, I've gone cross-eyed.
There's so much in this film. I have to look like.
Oh no, I've gone cross-eyed.
You know, I'm trying to look at you in the camera, but I'm trying to drift off and think. So it's I can't really just look at you. And
oh no, I've gone cross-eyed.
Robert Pattinson's in this movie though, and he's pretty awesome. He's the sidekick, and in his performance, he's but Pattinson knows Washington's favorite drink, even though it wasn't listed on his Hinge profile. But because of inversion, they know this. So it goes on, and basically that's what it boils down to. Spoilers ahead here. There's this criminal and this like drug. Was he a drug lord or what was he? I don't know. This movie is sitting on my brain and crushing it. Just so you know, there's no exit strategy to me explaining this to you. This goes on for pages. It really just breaks down the whole movie. Kenneth Branagh is in this film. He's a Russian, evil Russian. I don't remember. He's a bad guy. I don't remember what.
But I can't. Sorry. Oops.
It may be like an arms dealer. That's what he was. I remember. Kenneth Branagh plays an arms dealer. The way it works, somehow everything goes to this weird ability that if Kenneth Branagh kills himself, it would end the world. Wait, what? Okay. Okay, hold on. Oh, yeah. Kenneth Branagh is suffering from terminal cancer, and he's going back in time to find a happy memory to end his life. What's more, he's got an evil Fitbit. It literally is like a wristwatch type thing that will trigger the algorithm to go off at the moment of his death. If he can't be alive, no one can. That's his thinking behind this. They realize his happiest memory is a yacht trip to Vietnam, which just so happened to be taking place at the exact same time as the Opera attack and an unexplained explosion at the abandoned Soviet nuclear facility he grew up in. That's it. That's what happens. This essentially goes on in two locations. Wherever Washington is and whatever is going on in real time, and then they got to go back in the past, essentially, to stop this from happening because it's already happened. I'm like 12 minutes into this episode according to my clock right now, and I still really haven't given you any like strategic thing here about this movie. Bottom line is, that's what happens in the film, is they're trying to stop this arms dealer from killing himself because he's got terminal cancer. If he kills himself, it would end the world. I don't know how that comes into play with stopping World War III. I think that's the point. World War III will happen with this Tenet program, with this inversion type thing. But that's the big of it. That's pretty much the bulk of the film, is that John David Washington, whose character, by the way, you don't ever get like real names in this film. He's a CIA agent, but anyway, he's Denzel Washington's son. John David Washington has to stop the end of the world from happening, and he does it through this inversion thing because they're in the future. This is why it's confusing, but really this is the takeaway from the film. Okay, the takeaway is it's a secret agent embarking on a dangerous time-bending mission to prevent the start of World War III. And you must understand that the whole movie takes place in a world where the future has declared war on the present because it's upset about climate change. And so they use inversion, by which objects and people can travel backward in the flow of time by reversing their entropy. This means that time travel in this movie works according to a closed loop theory. So everything has already happened. So they got to go back and change things. That's the point. And they got to stop Kenneth Branagh from killing himself and ending the world. That's the point of the film. And they go on a bunch of hapless adventures. So just know that that's the synopsis. That's what you need to follow when it comes to this film. I can't explain it any better than that.
Oh no, I've gone cross-eyed.
They go on some really cool missions. I would like to say that the action is top-notch. If you want to see just a really cool action film, this is it. There is so much action, and it's just from beginning to end. Oh, I'm so upset by this film. It's doing this to me.
Oh no, I've gone cross-eyed.
Anyway, but it's action-packed, and there's so much to enjoy in terms of that. And the acting is top-notch. Robert Pattinson's really great in it. John David Washington, I want to talk about him for a second. He has been in a few things, and every time he comes on the screen, he has the charisma and the talent of his father, and it shows. And he's going to be his own big actor in this generation, without a doubt. I even said that, the late Chadwick Boseman, who played Black Panther, of course, what they're going to do is they're going to upgrade Black Panther's sister into the role of Black Panther. But I always said if they were just going to replace Chadwick Boseman, John David Washington would be the person to do it, because he has that charisma, that likability, and that acting ability to really bring it to the screen. So he's fantastic in the film. So really, go see it just for the acting and the action alone. It's a really solid action film. So I think that's the best review I can give this film, is if you're wanting to just, go back to the theater, because theaters are open now. Wear a mask, by the way. If you're going to a theater, wear a damn mask, help flatten the curve, social distance. I'm not going to say it again. Be nice to your fellow neighbors and get out there and help stop COVID-19. But if you're going to go to the theater just to get back into the movie scene, just to go see a movie, go see this movie to enjoy action and acting. That's what this movie is, basically, is action and acting, and it's really interesting. in terms of that. It's interesting to watch them go from point A to point B to point C to point D. Even if you don't know what's going on in the film, it's really cool to watch what's going on. And the inversion time traveling situation, that's really cool too. That's really cool too. That's really cool too. Obviously, I was not prepared for this episode, but yeah, it's a really awesome film to watch. But if you're really trying to get invested in the story, you're going to have to read a whole bunch of these. You're going to have to read this. You're going to have to understand point by point what's going on in the film. And I still don't. And I have sat here and I have read this synopsis from cover to cover. And like I said, I didn't want to go through it completely with you because it would take forever. It would just be me sitting here reading this. But just know the basic plot is they're trying to stop the end of the world. And they can do that with time traveling, but it's just done in sort of I guess you could call it a modern way. It's not like a Back to the Future way, which is more camp. You know, it's not like getting in a time machine, going back, trying to stop things. It's more like something that maybe the CIA would have. Maybe they do have it. We don't know. You know, I don't know. I don't know the government secrets. I'm just a host. You know, I don't know what's going on. But the point is, maybe it is something they would have. You know, to help save the world. So that's basically the long short of it. I would, but like I said, I would recommend it as just a fun night out to go see a movie. But if you're really wanting to see a movie to get invested in, I don't know. Don't do that. Sit at home and watch an indie flick on Netflix. That would be my suggestion for that. But yeah, that's my review of Tenet. Like I said, it's a fun, action-packed film, but it is so hard to follow. All right, I'm done. That's my review of Tenet. I'm out of here. I'm done. Taking off my shirt. I'm done with this. I'm done with everybody. I'm done with this film. I'm turning off the lights. I'm out of here. Can't stand it anymore, that movie. It sat on my head and crushed it, okay? I don't think you understand how hard it is to review a film like Tenet. You don't understand. You'll never understand how hard it is. I can't do it. I can't do this anymore. Get off my screen!